Okay, here we go. We're live. Goddess Jam Sessions. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another beautiful episode of Goddess Jam Sessions, which happens here every Thursday in the space. And hello, if you're watching in YouTube or any of the other platforms where I post this content, welcome. Today, I have an incredible guest. Her name is Angie Grimes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her in a second. We're going to apparently geek out on human design. So for those of you who are human design, like all into it, stick around. And for those of you like me who, I can't believe it, but I'm not really that well versed in the magic and the power of human design, I know that I'm in for a treat. So Angie, thank you so much for joining us. It's a thrill to have you.
Yeah, I appreciate being here, and I'm so excited to share all of this with you guys. So
yeah. So I love that you call yourself a spiritual architect. I'm like, that just rings all the bells for me. The strategy and the intuition, the spirit, and that architect. That love it. You provide transformational coaching by aligning individuals to the truth of themselves. And boy, oh boy, yes, more of that, please. So Angie, I'd love for you to tell us what's currently super lighting you up besides human design, and why you're so passionate about teaching human design and using this modality to help us discover the truth about ourselves.
Well, lovely. I'm actually really appreciate that you said besides human design. This may be a little bit of an odd one, ladies and gentlemen, but what's lighting me up is actually like 2021 and the time and space that we're in right now, and how tumultuous it is, but how I understand the perspective of what we're going through is inciting incredible change in our entire ecosystem. And for me, that's just a really exciting, it feels like a really exciting time and space to be witnessing. I think that, we're in a space that we're bringing down old constructs, and we're starting to really, again, live by our own design. There's not a one size fits all bucket anymore. And I think people are starting to really explode out into the distinctions of who they are, which is why I love human design so much.
All of that. Yes.
Maria's just like, preach.
Preach, amen, ditto. One more time for the people in the back.
Yeah, exactly. You up there.
Yes, I mean, yes, everything. And of course, this is, I'm so aligned because that's part of all of that lights me up, and the opportunity that we have as visionary women to really create that. I love that using the word design. And I've always loved the idea of living your life by design, not by default. And then understanding it at a deeper layer of what is your human design? What is that makes you unique? Because we are at the time where it's all about individuality, being like the USU possible, and in community, like in harmony with others. So we're co-creating some really new things, and the shifts that are coming are like monumental. So everybody buckle their seatbelts, because there's more to come, and we're here for it.
Yeah, and I think you totally hit the nail on the head. Actually living by your design not only creates a beautiful, co-creative, and abundant life for yourself that is in the way that you choose it to be, it aligns you with your gifts and your gifts, and that contributes to the greater good of the whole of community. Mm-hmm. And really, I like to tell people that, it's a time for us to be really selfish. And by being really selfish, the net effect of that is that we become a better society for others. So
write it down, keep it posted somewhere. Yes.
This life is about you. And I think that what I appreciate most about human design is that it is about the distinctions of who you are, and harnessing those distinctions, because that's like the unique That's the unique sauce that you bring to the table. And that's what the world needs, is the unique sauce. They don't need the, I look like this and I do this and I have the white pickets with the, what is it, like 2.1?
Yeah.
How do you have 0.1 children? I don't know.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So, and what a timely day to have. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to interject. Great. What a timely day to have this conversation with everything that's happening at a cosmic level. We got the full moon in Leo, which is all about sovereignty, like roaring from your truth, being heart-centered. And just like I was just guiding a mystical planning workshop, and I was telling the ladies, it's like, the lion or the lioness, they don't have to tell anybody else they're a lion or a lioness. They live it, they be it. They're like, they enter the room and like, this is it. There's no explanation. And I think that the more we can understand who we are, the less we feel like we've got to explain it to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, we're endlessly feeling like we've got to sort of justify or explain, or well, the more we embody who we are and have the confidence and the trust in ourselves, and tools like this really help us, I believe, on that journey.
Yes.
And again, like what you said, the more this life is about you. I love that. And when you go full into understanding the you of this big picture, then everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. So human design is pretty fascinating in the way that it's actually 5 modalities rolled up into an entire complex system that is who you were here to be in this world and how to best operate to align yourself. I like to refer to it as your human existence aligned with your divine self to know the truth of you. And this is how self-actualization occurs, is because can embrace and harness the facets of who you are, and the how to move in the world that's correct for your unique energy signature, you're operating on a whole different quantum level. And that's really what I try to impart. No, I don't try. This is what I impart with the people that I work with, is that we are here to be in a quantum reality, and your reality today can shift in a second, in a nanosecond, and it does. And sometimes it's to shift into chaos to get us to change, because, let's face it, I'm the first to admit that when my life is blissfully delicious and juicy, I have no desire to make any strides to move anywhere.
I love that. Oh my gosh. So what got you started, Angie, on the path of exploring human design?
Well, human design is unique for me personally because someone introduced me to the system, and I was intuitive with it. I have not I've not gone to a school. I don't have like the little courses that people do. I recognized the system and was able to operate within it with the construct that it was. So a lot of my knowledge is very specific to how I believe the system works, and then even more so how that gets applied to you as a person, because I'm able to tap into my intuition of who you are in this world and how to actualize that.
Yeah, I love that. And I resonate with that, because I feel like that's a lot of how I'm wired as well, as I support others, whether it's through coaching, guidance, speaking, whatever. It's that, and again, it's that trusting in your own intuitive sense, where you may be working within a framework, but you're not limited by a certain structure or parameters. And again, this is where we're all moving into, is this fluidity with focus, right? So that's kind of what I hear from what you're saying. And I love the idea of declaring that you look at it from a very intuitive perspective, because then that opens up the space for so many people to understand things at a different level, and to release that idea that unless you know something the way it's been like taught, that you can't, use
Step
it
outside of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
I love that statement, by the way, fluidity through focus. I think that's it's a pretty powerful statement. And I think that, human design is something I always like to say, like it gives you like like a guide. It's a guidance system for you, and it is the blueprint of who you are. You can use it to employ a guidance system for your journey, but it requires you to experiment with it. And I am a fan of experimenting with things in life. So, I was really, really drawn to it in that way. I think, we learn the uniqueness of us by experimenting who we are. And to your point, Maria, like understanding how to trust that. If I have intuition, how does that energetically run through my body? And then once I'm able to pinpoint that, how can I further the listening processes to capture and harness it in the moment that it's important for me to recognize it? So
I just got some chills there. Yes. Yes.
So it really is about being connected with your higher self and living that out in a physical, like 3D reality, right? So
Girl, I'm just like, I'm shook because you're speaking my language. I'm like, wow, like this is how I'm all about, like from the beginning, you've been saying all these things that I'm like, this is how I see the world. This is what I share in my messaging. And we've just discovered each other, by the way. So we're kind of getting to know each other here, which feels so good.
Yes, this is like our first real time chatting.
It's like our first date.
We have a first date, yes.
Yeah, but I speak about, aligning your inner drive with your divine wisdom, in that place of strategy and your intuition, how to bring about, like, trust your, turning light into form, which is essentially what you just said, is that, and I'm all about the momentum, like the mindset, the magic, and the momentum, which is that very pivotal step of whether it's the continuing to listen. I love how you phrase that, or that how does it actualize here in the real world? Like, we're here, let's create in the world and build that momentum towards it. So I just, the things you're saying, I'm like,
now I have goosebumps. Yes. Apparently we're just gonna like switch it back and forth.
Yes.
I think the thing that we miss out on the most that I really, really want to impart today, just about life in general, is we as women, men, it doesn't matter, but as adults who have responsibilities and are living in this 3D world, we miss out on the play. We miss out on, we're striving so hard to achieve and to get to some end destination point, which, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, it just doesn't exist. There is no end to this journey. There is no successive destination. As a matter of fact, most people feel unsuccessful because they hit a goal and then that goal moves. Your target is constantly moving in life. And that's the beauty of growth. But if you sit on a mountain and you look behind you and you soak in the trek that you've made up to the top of this plateau, knowing that there's more to go, like that's really where magic can start to happen. So.
Oh, okay. I'd love for you to share with us, this is so good. I'd love for you to share, what are some of the biggest breakthroughs that you've witnessed, without getting into specifics on clients or anything, but what are some of the biggest breakthroughs that you've witnessed through somebody implementing or beginning to use the human design tool? Can I call it a tool, modality, like, or is it something more? Framework?
Yeah, I think I call it a system, but
a system. Okay.
Method, but however you want to, formula, right? Blueprint. Just throw all the marketing terms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I hear time and time again, the biggest breakthrough that people typically have is they find their way to self-acceptance. Things that you think that are strange about you, or you don't understand why other people don't get it, or you don't understand how to really apply it in a meaningful way for someone else. You get that system and you can realize that it's part of your design and it's a necessary part of your design, because that's how you actualize the gift in the 3D world. And so you learn to finally accept things that you've always kind of been like, I wish I wasn't this way. Like, where is my people? Like, I don't get why I get into these situations and they don't ever work out for me, but they feel good in the beginning. And it's because you're not initiating these relationships properly. So there's a process, there's a strategy for you and your unique energetic signature to enter into relationships with others. And, it's important that you understand that it's about you and your unique signature, and how learning how to do that can just shift the love for yourself, which of course changes your entire outer landscape, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. The self-acceptance and the self-validation that come with understanding yourself at a deeper level, and whether it's the quirks or the aspirations you've had that you're like, oh my God, I don't understand why I'm like this, or the finding of your people and the connecting with those that really resonate with you. I mean, those are, it's like you were talking earlier about the goals that we strive for, and it's almost like people tend to miss the mark on what are the goals. Like a worthy goal is to, like, every day strive to be the truest version of who you are. And in order to do that, we get to use tools at our disposal: systems, frameworks, blueprints, coaches,
Yes.
guides, books, a podcast, all the things. But that in itself it's like you're meeting the goal time and time again. And it brings you into a level of self-acceptance. And what I find is that the little light bulb of, because when you were saying about like finding your people, when you then get to understand each other and have conversations that light you up in a way that feels very true, that's freedom. Like on the like that's the thing, it's on the other side. And of course it's a continual process of evolving and blossoming and emerging in this freedom, but that's really what we're looking for. It's not the goalposts. Like those are great to go for, and but tell me a little bit about, because I again, in everything that you're saying, it just, there's all this air of true freedom, even when you're talking about play, when you're talking about all of that. So how does that play a role in your life, how you see the world, and through the work you do in human design?
Yeah, well, so I guess, if you get into just some specifics so that kind of people can understand the framework, there's 5 different archetypes within human design, and they're all meant to operate in a different and unique way. So one of the archetypes, which I happen to be, is a projector, which means that I have very penetrating aura, and I work very, very well with people in a smaller group setting, because I'm very focused on that individual and what that looks like. And I'm here to guide and align people with their bigger purpose. Like I'm here to guide and direct energy. So, but as part of my strategy is that I have to find people who really would take what I have to offer them and look upon it as a gift to them, which means that I have knowledge and wisdom for everyone. Mm-hmm. But not everyone is going to accept my knowledge and wisdom. And when they don't, it leaves me feeling kind of bitter and maybe a little bit worthless, right? Because I didn't get that same energetic exchange of the gift that I gave out. And so my design is that I'm to wait for an invitation. And once I get that invitation, I know that there's an energetic alignment there. We all work on magnetics. Our energy field works on magnetics. So, Maria, I think when you were saying, and I had previously said, looking for your tribe, there's polarity in magnetics, which means that you can repel, people can be repelled by you, or they could be drawn to you. And the truly and authentically experimenting with living with your design or living by your design is that you actually get to see the difference between a magnetic aura where people are drawn to you and things come with ease in relationships because of that, or a repelled, right? Like the repellent of you trying to go out there and go, I have all this information for you and you have to know it. Like you just have to know it right now. And Maria, I think that you said that you were a manifesting generator, which is a combination.
I believe so, yeah.
Which is a combination of 2 of the separate types. So, a generator is is really someone who work is incredibly important to them. Not that family is not, but work is very, very important. And they have an intense amount of energy that they can apply to projects and things to create in this world. Like actually create, like the physical doing is really what a generator is about. And you know, their way is that they're supposed to respond to things in the world. So you know, I always like to say, I always have this like bee pun. I like bees. I don't know why.
I like ours. Oh, but wait, bees like buzzing bees?
Yeah,
Or
like
letter
buzzy
B?
bees.
Oh, like buzzing
No,
bees.
I like
Okay,
buzzy
never mind,
bees.
never mind.
But like, you know, let's say that you get an idea and you want to create a lip balm of some sort, and you're like, it's made out of honey. And so you actually live by your design and you kind of sit with it. And all of a sudden you look up and there's, you know, a billboard and it has that little like Cheerios bee. And maybe you are watching TV and like there's like a bee commercial comes on with a bunch of bees floating around the sky. That's a sign, and it doesn't have to be that specific, but I'm making it very specific. But that's a sign that that's something that you are magnetized to respond to in the world. It's a line of sight for you to go, I'm thinking of this, show me the way physically, which is pretty exciting. Manifestors, on the other hand, are the only people in the world which are able to initiate, meaning that they actually don't really need anyone to start a project. Like I have to wait, a generator has to respond, right? A manifestor, it can initiate a project, but what they need to do is they need to inform others, because what happens with manifestors is they are truly like the creative spark that changes our world on a very global level. So, you know, you could think of Richard Branson, you could, I mean, there's very big names, manifestors in the world, right? And because they are able to initiate, what happens is they tend to leave people like behind, or they tend to like leave people out of, and they're just thinking, right? They're just in the process of thinking. I have a funny story about a manifestor. I had a client, and he and his wife were going to watch a movie. It was like date night. They were going to watch a movie, and she's like, I'm going to go take a shower. And he's like, great, I'll make the popcorn. I'll do the stuff. We'll get it all set up. And so she goes into the shower, and he's like making popcorn, and he realizes they're out of butter. So he just like hops in the car and goes to the store. Well, she gets out of the shower and like he's gone. He didn't like tell her he was going. And in his mind, he was doing the most appropriate thing to make their night the most lovely night. Well, when he got home, she was yes. And it totally ruined their whole night. And it was,
oh my God, yeah. I'm just thinking, I've had these situations with my husband. It's like that idea that it's like, oh, because your mind is working like it has its own like realm.
Yes.
And my husband's like, so when were you going to tell me about this? Or when I'm like, oh.
Yes. And it's the simplest of things that like manifestors don't think about. And when I say inform someone, this doesn't mean asking for permission. I want to be very clear that there's a distinction.
Yeah, I love that distinction. Yeah.
It's just letting people be part of your world. And then you won't have to really like be in a space where your creative thought gets interrupted, which happens a lot to manifestors, because you're kind of working from like, you're working very highly with like a downloaded template that you're getting, and your creative process gets interrupted when others interject because they don't know what's going on. Look at your face. I love this. This is amazing.
She's reading my mind, ladies and gentlemen. She's reading my mind. Yes.
So what happens though is it's easy to lose your creative space, and in some places you won't recover it again. So what happens is then you feel really angry and you feel very frustrated because you were in the middle of something that was so you could just feel the palpable energy of what you could produce in the world, right? So that those relationships, when you inform, it gives you the space to create with freedom, and then you actually like feel good about what you're doing. So, and everyone in the world has been taught to be a manifester. Every single person is supposed to go out there and get it done. What is Nike's model? Just go do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not how we're meant to operate. And I think only like 22% of the world is manifestors. Most of the world is generators and manifesting generators. So we've been taught to live in a way that's inauthentic for our energy signature. And it creates physical problems, it creates burnout, it creates stress, it creates relationship issues. It creates unfulfilling careers. There's so much to be had just by the initial phase of the experimentation. And there's one more, I'll just get into it. So Maria, because you're both, you would need to respond and initiate. So all the things that I said for the two kind of wrap up into one for you.
Yeah.
The fifth kind, that's called a reflector, and reflectors are less than 1% of the population. They're a very small group of the population, and they're very special because they actually tell us the health of the community that they're involved around. And they do this in a very, it typically manifests in a very physical way because most reflectors don't know they're reflectors. They're highly conditioned by their environment. So, and reflectors actually, their cycle for decision making is they are on a moon cycle. So their decision making process should be about 28 days.
Wow. Can you give us an example of somebody we might know, like a famous person or that could be a reflector, just so we can get a sense of the personality?
Yeah. I mean, I'll look it up real quick. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it would be interesting just because it's such a unique.
it is such a really unique, it really is such a very unique, and I think that they're very special because they tell us something that we wouldn't notice for ourselves, and it's the health of the world around them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's kind of pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks like, wow, this is a pretty big reflector. I did not realize this. Sandra Bullock. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah. Very fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this is, so you mentioned projector, reflector, manifestor, generator, and what's the other one?
Manifesting generator. So it's
manifesting generator. Got it. So it's the fifth one, but it's the common. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess if you don't mind, I would share how these all kind of work together, because I think
yes, please.
It's like, what am I? But even more importantly is how do they unite, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always like to create this. You guys, you may see Maria. I'm kind of a visual. I like to tell like little stories about what's going on.
I'm very visual too.
But if you are, so I'll just start with a manifestor. Let's say you're a manifestor and you get this great idea for this play that you want to write. So you like decide this theme, you create this play, you have like a script, and you're like ready to go. So what would happen is you would likely get generators of the world to build the set. So they would actually like create the set. They have a manifestor in its true energetic form because they have a lot of energy that they really need to expel. If you're a generator, I highly recommend that you work out every day because you will have sleep problems consistently if you do not work out every day. Because your mind is just going and you didn't expel your energy. You have to relieve all of your energy for the day. But back to where I was. So they actually will create the set. So they create the physical landscape for the environment. Then you would get the manifesting generator to be the actor. And the reason why they would be the actor is because, they'll follow the script, but they're going to ad lib and they're going to create some flair in what's going on because they have their own unique way of expressing. Then the projector would be like the director. So the projector would like direct everyone that's like on stage and direct everyone that's creating the landscape. And then the audience would actually be the reflector. And the reflector would simply project back to the people who made the play and the people who participated in the play how well they thought they did. And that's kind of how we all work together in one single scenario.
I love that. I love how you painted that. It's very clear to understand. And yeah, no, it makes complete sense. And I must say, I mean, I find all this so captivating is there's this, I love the bringing in of the layer of how to, the response piece, how to respond or how to, because it's one level to know what kind of person you are, let's say, but then it's a whole other level to have that fluency. It's also like it's almost like learning the language of how you're meant to interact with the world. And that piece I find so incredibly captivating, to really build a picture. And how you've mentioned, which is something that I also, really believe in, is we've been put in these, structures and boxes of what we're meant to do, supposed to behave, and seldom are we allowed to really be in our truth and understand why we're behaving a certain way and not be in judgment or self-blame or self-criticism for it. And with tools like this, it's like you get to understand, and then your ability again to respond to life, not react to life, I think is really amplified.
Yeah, that's a
cool,
lovely summary. One thing that I will piggyback on that I think is fascinating is, if you think about how this construct works, you actually also begin to recognize how conditioned we really are, especially as children, right? You grow up in an environment, and let's say, for example, you grew up in kind of a tumultuous environment. It was a super emotional place, and there was a lot of drama that surrounded you. And when you get out onto your own, you start reliving the pattern of what you were so entrained with as a child. And why is because it's not necessarily who you are, but it's what you've known. And I think that that's the difference between, understanding who you are and what you've experienced, and being able to remove those layers of that human conditioning so that you can actually fulfill your own truth. And I think that that's, for me, why one of the reasons why the work is so exciting, because it really is about you being able to expel things that don't belong to you and learn to embrace the things that do, to create authenticity of who you are in this world.
Expel who you are not meant to be. I love that. It's so like, yes. Angie, I have loved this conversation, and I look forward to learning more, really exploring in the work that you do and in resources about this, because I feel like you've opened my eyes to so much. And I know that whoever's watching, whether they've dabbled in it or not, it's kind of the same vibe. It's very much in tune. It's a system that's, of course, it's like it's very much in tune with what the work we get to do now, to be in this, individuality, and to expel anything that we get to leave behind that is like, okay, I'm not going to carry that anymore. And I get to open space to who I truly am. So amazing. Is there anything else that you want to share besides, we'll let everybody know where to find you, plus the links will be available and all that good stuff, but anything else that you feel just inspired to share?
Yeah, I guess I do want to take a step back, which I probably should have done in the beginning, but there is one more. I just kind of want to talk about like the overarching system as a whole, to get an idea. I said there was 5 modalities involved. So it actually relates to your astrology, and there's a conscious astrology and what I call a divine astrology that's related. So approximately 88 days before you're born, your soul actually is said to reside in your body, and your personality signature activates the day the moment you're born. So those two things coupled together create the whole of you, right? And I think that it's interesting just to note too that, you know, consciously is really how you see yourself. So you see yourself in a conscious way. Others typically see you aligned with divinity structure. And so I think that it's important to understand both your personality and your divinity, because that's how you create cohesion in your system. And then you can truly start living from your heart and become super aligned. So that was a side note tidbit. I have plenty of those, right? I'm all over the place.
I want more tidbits. These are all like juicy nugget. You just blew my mind with this whole 88-day thing.
Really?
Yes. I'm like,
give you a moment to recover over there. Give you a moment to recover. So
this is new for me. I didn't know that.
Well, this is the story of human design. So, you know, that is how this process was enacted. So there's your astrology. There is the I Ching system. So it actually has a full like 64 hexagram energies that express throughout your body and what are essentially like active for you or defined, or inactive and undefined, but you take into your system and you process it and you amplify it energetically from others. Super fascinating. And then you're working with the full chakra system. It's actually an enhanced chakra system. The human design says that in about 1781, we actually went from a 7-system chakra to a 9-system chakra. And, you know, many of you, I think out there who've been doing this for a while can attest to the fact that, like, I know that there's like a high heart chakra and then like a heart chakra. And to me, those are very distinct areas in my body. The current chakra system doesn't account for those, but human design does. Incidentally, in the next couple of years, we're actually going through another redesign, which is just a whole nother scenario. But, you know, I'll leave you with that little cliffhanger. And then you're also working with the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. And then the last thing is that all of this accumulates into like the quantum field, which then is how you, you know, pick out that structure and actualize that and drop it down into the reality. So those are the 5 systems that create this entire system. It's all stuff that you're probably familiar with, have seen, have known. It's just encompassed in the truth of you.
So I'm like, all of these things that you mentioned, I feel so aligned with, and I study but this holistic view of it again is kind of like, and I've read about human design. So as you're saying things, I'm like, oh yeah, that, but again, it feels like opening a portal into a deeper space of understanding the potential here. And you're giving me, I have these like life assignments that I give myself, like soul school. And I go in and I like, you know, like this year I'm really working with the moon phases and getting into like the wheel of, you know, the wheel of the year and stuff like that. Now I'm like, all right, human design is coursework, which just thrills me. And so
I love it. She's moving to the top of her list, people. The top.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, another, but it does, here's the thing, and I'll be totally honest. It felt to me like, oh, this is something else to learn. So it's something else that, you know, it's kind of like, another thing. But the way you've laid it out, it's like, no, this is this comprehensive view that aligns all the things that I've already been learning about, studying, and that we're familiar with. Just takes it to a different level.
I like to call it like a synthesis of all of the modalities, right? Like you're just synthesizing it all together in one sphere so that you can have the blueprint of you in the world.
Yes. I've been it's so good because again, we were talking about this before we hit record. We're both like such learners. We're both like avid researchers. And so that's what I do. A lot of what I do is just I'm learning and it's like downloading and learning and downloading and learning, and then everything kind of comes together. So this is just so thrilling. It's like, oh, again, I feel like, oh, it's a new classroom I get to put myself in to like bring in the goods. So I mean, I'm just, yeah, blown away in a good way.
I love it. Again, I appreciate you having me, letting me share. Clearly, I get super excited about it. So
As it should be, as it should be. So good. So Angie, okay, where can we find you? And if somebody's interested in taking this a step deeper with you, how do they get in touch with you?
yeah, so I'm on Facebook. It's Angie Grimes, Grimes. I also have a website and it's angiegrimes.com. Super easy. If you have any questions, you can obviously, comment and like and or share what we've done today. And I'm happy to respond to any comments or questions or connect with you offline, whatever you feel like. I would be super honored to assist in your path and journey to understanding yourself.
Beautiful. And I will say, I'm putting together a 3-day event, Rise of the Creatrix. I don't know if I told you about it, but I was thinking about you because I was like, oh, we don't have anybody doing human design. And I'm trying to pick all these different, it's in a couple weeks. Maybe you can squeeze it in. We'll talk about it offline, but I think that would be incredible. So yeah, so that we can bring in this goodness into that space as well. So yeah.
Do you guys see how she like didn't ask me until like I gave like we were able to meet, and she's able to see that like maybe I wasn't like this complete like weirdo. Do you guys see this?
Is that in line with?
No, it's just
I just
totally too.
No. But honestly, I was good. I was about to email you and say, hey, this is really cool. Have you considered like, I was going to send you the speaker thing, and I never got around to it. And I was like, oh, I'll talk to her and we'll see what the.
I'd be super, super excited.
I think it would be amazing. So freaking cool. So freaking cool. Angie, thank you so much for lending your time and your energy and your passion. I'm just feel so much resonance with so many things that you said, and I know it's going to be really supportive. Thank you for the beautiful work you do in the world. I appreciate you. So, yeah.
Thank you, Maria. And it's lovely to meet all of you. I hope to see you in the group. I'm a member, so I'm going to be hopefully contributing and making new relationships.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you everybody for watching, whether you were here live with us or you're watching the replay. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks, and more to come. Lots more to come. Make sure to follow this space. Bye, everybody. Take care.